The upside surprise that we have seen first in December, second in January, I can tell you that there was unanimous concern around the table of the Governing Council about inflation numbers. And obviously the impact it has on the near term and the impact that it has on our compatriots in Europe. Because we know that the burden is first and foremost borne by those who are most vulnerable, most exposed, and who face the day-to-day hardship of having to put up with higher prices. So I can assure you that that concern was across the board and around the table in equal numbers. So we had a very thorough and in-depth discussion about inflation precisely. And we're focusing on the latest information we have, but also the impact that it will have on our medium-term outlook. And that is clearly something that will be examined in more depth at the time of our March Governing Council meeting, when we produce more projections, which we have not on this occasion, when we can harness all the latest data that we have, where we can also have more information about the job markets, about wages, and where we can really analyze in depth what the impact is on our medium-term projections. We are all driven by the same mandate, which is price stability. And we are all concerned to take the right steps at the right time. And I think there was also a concern and a determination around the table not to rush into decision unless we had proper and thorough assessment based on data and the analytical work that will take place in the next few weeks.
Is it me? Or did she just sound like Fed Chairman Jerome Powell? Did she just parrot him? Okay, so it's not just an American thing. It's a worldwide thing. Credible threats hitting hard in the Eurozone. Recent CPI from December, 5%, now 5.1, still escalating. In late January, nothing to see here. No worries, they say. They see steeper increases in the price of energy and food skyrocket. They say the offset in those prices is because of manufactured goods are slow to raise prices. What? What? What am I hearing? With all the proof, if I can't see it, so can you. You're telling me that I'm smarter than the Fed, the ECB, or the BOE? And they are still telling us everything is under control. They just recently came out with the state higher than expected inflation has led to the U.S. Federal Reserve and the Bank of England to shift to more hawkish policy stance, the ECB.
Thank you very much. So good afternoon. The Vice President and I welcome you to our press conference. The euro area economy is continuing to recover, and the labour market is improving further, helped by ample policy support. But growth is likely to remain subdued in the first quarter, as the current pandemic wave is still weighing on economic activity. Shortages of materials, equipment, and labour continue to hold back output in some industries. High energy costs are hurting incomes and are likely to dampen spending. However, the economy is affected less and less by each wave of the pandemic, and the factors restraining production and consumption should gradually ease, allowing the economy to pick up again strongly in the course of the year. Inflation has risen sharply in recent months, and it has further surprised to the upside in January. This is primarily driven by higher energy costs that are pushing up prices across many sectors, as well as higher food prices. Inflation is likely to remain elevated for longer than previously expected, but to decline in the course of this year. The Governing Council therefore confirmed the decisions taken at its monetary policy meeting last December, as detailed in the press release published at 1:45 today. Accordingly, we will continue reducing the pace of our asset purchases step by step over the coming quarters, and will end net purchases under the Pandemic Emergency Purchase Programme at the end of March. In view of the current uncertainty, we need more than ever to maintain flexibility and optionality in the conduct of monetary policy. The Governing Council stands ready to adjust all of its instruments as appropriate to ensure that inflation stabilizes at its 2% target over the medium term.
Hey guys, it's Jose, your regular Joe Blow, keeping an eye out and my ears open to the scoop. Now the Eurozone, mimicking the Feds, they are also using credible threats. This is what the ECB rebuttal, that they will be tightening in the Eurozone monetary policy with a raise in the ECB deposit rates minus 25%, except inflation to continue rising, as they continue threatening that they will do something about it. While inflation runs hot, exactly the same as is being done here in the States, they're letting it also run hot. CPI numbers, which comes out on February 10th, 2022. I'll keep you guys informed. In the meantime, let's give credit to the Economic Ninja for bringing the news to YouTube. Fair use.
Of England are, okay? Not only that, besides the currencies being tied, the banks being tied, but also the truth about our trading partnerships, okay? So we've seen over the last decade, a little bit more than a decade actually, some interesting sleight of hand tricks, let's say, for lack of better terms, when the two banks want to hide things, let's say between quantitative easing and other things, they can easily go between the two banks. Now, without diving into all of that, I'm going to talk about I just put out a video on the rate hike for the ECB, and you know that a handful of their governors have voted to go well above the what was just recently the quarter 25 basis points, which is a quarter of 1% rate hike, and they're voting now. Let's go either half a point or half a percentage, 50 basis points, or even 75 basis points, which is massive. And I believe, in my personal opinion, again, not trading advice, this is going to cause catastrophic effects to the real economy, okay? Which will not be felt for months down the road. You'll start to see it come out in, cost price index numbers, all kinds of things, right? But Main Street cannot service their debt at higher rates, okay? Especially with all of the debt that's been accumulated, okay? But right now, the euro is slipping to the dollar. So let's dive right into the story. Again, I'm going to link it in the description below. It's entitled, "The ECB prepares for March policy recalibration. Q4 rate hike," as DB says, "ECB pivot is here. Buy the euro to USD." Now, I do think that could be, again, not professional advice, could be a play here, because the ECB knows they need to bring value to the euro, especially when it's up against the US dollar and it's been slipping. And that could be a heck of a trade, right, in the Forex markets. But remember, guys, I want to explain something right now. If they really cared about it, they would raise some, they would go big right now. They're saying, okay, we raised a little bit. We're going to stop quantitative easing and we're going to go big in March. And March is going to be, I think we're setting up to be fireworks in the world's economy, because you not only have what they are bluffing right now to be a massive rate hike in March, you also have the Federal Reserve bluffing to make it even larger than a quarter of a percentage, 25 basis points, larger than that, which I just don't personally believe they can pull off without really detonating the economy. So here we go. So with markets still in shock over Christine Lagarde's hawkish pressure and Italian bonds at yields that scream a new financial crisis is just around the corner, The trial balloons have started dropping, with Bloomberg reporting moments ago that the ECB policymakers can imagine recalibrating their outlined policy path in March. It says, according to the report, the governing council agreed at Thursday's meeting that it's sensible not to exclude a rate hike this year, and that an end of bond buying under the APP in the third quarter is possible. This means that the ECB is now open to a rate hike in quarter four. Now, guys, I want to explain something again. They have announced that they are going to stop their quantitative easing program. Okay, so again, this is all rhetoric until they actually do it, right? But this is the first step that any central bank has in their toolbox when things are going bad. And what is that? It's threats. It's, we're gonna do something. It's like, well, hey guys, why don't you just do something?
So guys, I'll put the links in the description below. As always, do your own research, just an opinion. Thank you guys for always sticking with me to the end. Not advice. Don't forget to always do your own due diligence. Till next one, stay free.